I want to bring in Guy Benson. Now, Guy is a very famous pundit, and he's going to give us his prediction for the election results today. So, Guy, is this going to be a red ripple, a red wave, or a red tsunami?
Well, Stuart, the factors that I've been looking at to inform that exact opinion that I've formed are, number one, head-to-head polling in these individual races, the national polling overall, the movement of prognosticators and money into various races, and then most importantly, I think, the fundamentals of this cycle. They all favor the Republicans to varying extents. I think that we are looking at a good to very good night, probably for the Republicans ahead. I would imagine that they will end up in the ballpark of where the Democrats did after their blue wave of 2018 in terms of the number of seats controlled. I do think Republicans are slightly favored to win back the Senate, 51, maybe 52 seats. If it really blows out 53 or 54, I think Republicans stand to gain one net governorship when you look across the country and control 30 out of the 50 across the nation. So I'm tired of all the prognostications. I'm tired of all the pre-analysis. I want some actual results. Waves don't make themselves, Stuart. People have to go out, be the wave,
True.
vote.
Okay, if we get I think you're referring here to a red wave, somewhere between a ripple and a tsunami, a red wave. I think you'd be comfortable with that.
Yep.
If that's what we get, does it amount to a turning point in American politics? The end of the leftward drift from Biden and his administration towards a more centrist, maybe even a rightward drift from Congress. What do you think?
I think it would very much be a turning point, obviously, in this administration, because they've been trying to push everything that they can, all the left-wing stuff imaginable, with the very thin margins they've had in both houses. That would be just gone, right? Dead as a doornail. Even if the Republicans only win back the House, the legislative agenda is basically dead. Biden would have to pivot to the center and be the sort of president he campaigned on being, frankly. If the Republicans also win the Senate, and if I had to err on one side or the other, should I be more optimistic or more pessimistic coming into the day? I would lean in the more optimistic direction based on some of the things that I'm seeing. If the Republicans win both houses, Stuart, which is entirely plausible, then the administration really has a tough dilemma on its hands, because they either have to work with Republicans and really cross the aisle on a lot of things, or just watch a stalemate play out for the remainder of this term, which might end up being the only term for this president. So some interesting moves in the White House should the Democrats lose, and also Democratic leadership in Congress, especially on the House side. I think some big changes are probably coming.
Okay, got it. By the way, the betting markets give a 70% chance of a complete sweep of the House and the Senate for the Republicans. There you have it. Guy Benson, thanks very much indeed. See you again later.